We are starting the live. Just a second. We are starting the live today. Okay, few things before we start. Today we will have a general discussion. This won't be about lenses. This won't be about particular angles or the devices we have. We won't be doing that. Rather, this will be a general discussion. But people who have been in this profession for a long time, we already know what we require from our movies. And we have a camera, but in terms of the cinematic language, what we require for our movie. But few points I want to make today, and then we will go to other discussions as well later. So the thing is, this industry, entertainment industry, glitz and glam, some people try to act in films, they want roles written for them, they want to say the dialogues, they have fascination for the dialogue. Maybe one person is very good with writing dialogues. They want dialogues written for them. And it is somewhat like, a muse, somebody is wanting to be a muse. They want their pictures to be painted, sculptures to be made, photos to be taken, but the attitude towards it. What we have had always is a good attitude towards it, and it comes to us very naturally, so we don't talk about it. But sometimes you will see people, and also it is a big part of rejection. It is sometimes diplomatically we can talk about it. Some people become very angry because they don't understand professionalism, they don't understand what is required from the movie. But whatever I am discussing, you understand, there is something common, and it is a big part of the problem. So many don't want to put the effort. Many don't understand, many don't want to put the effort. They use terms as professional very lightly. And there is a definition problem, obviously. So they don't understand what professionalism means in a larger context, if I say so. So what does it mean? And so much effort they put to be taken seriously. It's like chasing for some people. They want a role, they want to share the screen with someone, and it has been there for a long time. But out of humility, out of charity, if I say so, we didn't ruin a movie. Sometimes for marketing purpose, sometimes for other purposes, strategical, purposes. There are scenes created, there are dialogues written, there are people taken. That's a different part. But for some people, that can be the life. For some people, that is what they think about all the time. But for us, movie is the priority, the film is the priority, cinema is priority. So there can be a lot of good talks, there can be a lot of persuasion, but for that reason, we are not going to compromise the movie, the film. Imagination. Again, the definition problem. Some people talk about imagination because it sounds good. Some people have learned the quote from someone who has mentioned it somewhere, maybe in an acting lecture, or maybe a directing lecture, or maybe any lecture they have heard it, it sounded good. Imagination cannot be taken lightly. Because cinema, if I talk about cinema, dreams, that collective experience in a theater, in a dark room, first time when you look at a movie, for many people, uh, also for me, when you look at a movie, sometimes one particular movie propels you to take that decision that you want to be a filmmaker. It doesn't matter whether you earn money or not, but you love filmmaking, you love films. Then eventually maybe you want to become a professional. You may not become a professional, but the appreciation stays with you. Sometimes you become a film critic because you need to learn a lot, you need to study a lot, different things, and you need to look at a lot of things. So it is part of your artistic process, part of your professional development. So all these things we don't mention explicitly, but whenever we are mentioning the job description or the professionalism, or what is it like, how do you define a professional? Sometimes there are specific people who can take care of all these things, but people who are more towards artistic, inclination, directors who have a lot of things already to take care of, and they are looking at a lot of people, a lot of things, a lot of decisions. Sometimes they are not thinking about all these little things, and there are people who can take care of all these things. So we are more focusing on storytelling. We are focusing more on how we can tell the story in a better way, how we can get the best performance for that particular scene from the actors, how we can develop the actors for the scenes to come, for the things to happen, because it is part of the artistic process as well. They have to think, they have to have that educational element, even if you don't mention explicitly, because when they are reading the script, it's about dialogue. So English, some people cannot comprehend English. So there is a thing, context, subtext, how you read the dialogue, how you understand the scene, how you take the direction. So all these things you have: psychology, sociology, anthropology, educational elements, social sciences, a lot of things, human elements, humanities, arts, so many things are happening. Maybe you have not gone to a film school to learn that. Maybe you have not gone to a particular course to learn that. But whenever you are in that profession, and especially when you are doing great work, obviously you have done it for a long time. So we don't mention it explicitly, because you have to understand the script, you have to take the direction, you have to do that collaboration with other team members who are requiring. Sometimes the cinematographer is coming and they are having a communication with you, the director is coming communication with you, other people, producers. So all these things are very natural things when you make a movie. We don't talk about this explicitly. Sometimes, do you find distortion? Do you find, in any way, do you find distortion? Do you find a deviation? Distortion is a word I will use. In many ways you can observe in different things regarding the making of the movie, and how you are taking it to the audience, how you are finishing the last step, when you are editing it, and the last thing, it is still not right. That little thing, that little extra effort you are putting, because you want to show people the best possible movie you want to show. Sometimes maybe because of some constraints, you want to make a movie for the theater, but later you are releasing a director's cut. All these things are there. But eventually, more or less, you want to share with people a good work of art, a good product, a good movie you have created, and a story you wanted to tell, an idea you wanted to convey. So these things are very natural things, and we never talked about it. But sometimes when you find a little bit of deviation, you might think of all these things. Is it because of that? Is it because of these things related to these things? Then you can deal with them accordingly. Right. And also it happens because a lot of new people, they come, they are not trained in a proper way, they have not developed that appreciation for filmmaking, that love and passion for filmmaking we require from them to have a great work, to collaborate in an efficient manner. So maybe a lot of things are happening in the process. Sometimes we may come up with anger, but a lot of responsibilities, obviously, when you are working with professionals, teams, and also when you are working with professionals, maybe they are also looking for one direction, one particular line that can change the course of the entire movie. They are coming up with great scenes to capture. They are coming up with a new innovative idea. They can change the lensing, they can discuss the lensing, they can have their own opinion, and so many other things. They can talk to the production designer, they can talk to all these things. Because it's a lot of decision making, problem solving on the go. You are continuously being faced with a problem, and all these things happen very naturally. Because you want to make a movie, you are expecting to, have those problems and hurdles. And you have the confidence, you have the experience, you have that thing you have developed over the years, you know what you are doing, that you can solve these problems. But all these things cannot deviate you from the idea you wanted to convey, the story you wanted to tell, the movie you wanted to make. So that is also, sometimes the movie cannot be success. The movie may not be success for different reasons, but you have put the effort to make the movie. So all these things. Imagination cannot be taken lightly because, as I mentioned, when we are talking about the collective experience, when we are talking about dreams, we are talking about imagination. Sometimes we are building different worlds. If you don't have imagination, how can you convey it to the crew members? How can you convey it to the cast? How can you convey it to the cast and crew that you want to tell this idea in this way? So all these things are there, and imagination is a big part when you are writing the script. You have to imagine when you are writing scenes, when you are writing dialogues. Sometimes the dialogue is not quite right. You are thinking that you are becoming your own best critic. Nobody is telling you to do so, but even not the producers. You don't have that. You are becoming your own best critic. That scene is quite not right. I can change that, or maybe I can change the position of the scene or the sequence, or maybe I can tweak the dialogue and keep it. All these things. Imagination. You are thinking about the cinematic world you are going to create, or you are creating, by writing. Then during the process of direction, during the process of filmmaking, we are taking so many decisions, and we are always, aligned with that goal, that purpose, that we want to tell the story in the best possible way. We want to give the audience an experience. And all these things are like part of our being, so we don't think about all these things explicitly. But the thing is, nowadays, we are overwhelmed by a lot of things. Information, people, excess faces sometimes, excess technologies, equipments, a lot of things, can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. But some people prefer to do their things in their different ways, but ultimately we are telling the story. And the cinematic language, how you are telling the story, how you are capturing that frame or that movement. Starting from this frame, it is ending from this it is ending at this frame, and there is continuity, there is camera movement. Is it jerky? Is it very smooth? Is it very static? Is it like panning, tilting? Is it like moving like that, dolly, truck forward, backward? Whatever you are doing, it is not like permutation, combination all the time. You know that if you do a dolly, you are going to get that emotional experience from that particular scene. That psychological, that emotional, aesthetic experience you are going to get from this particular scene. Using that particular lens, using that particular camera movement, using that particular frame or the composition. And it is not to be taken lightly. Why do we take sometimes? Sometimes it is not our fault. We are overwhelmed by too many things. Maybe we can take some time off. Maybe we can have some time for introspection, some time with ourselves, or maybe selected people from the crew with whom we can discuss, we can solve problems, we can do a lot of problem solving, and then eventually we can come up with something innovative idea on how we are going to plan the entire thing, shoot the entire thing. And also during takes, we are finding different things, interesting things, happy accidents, and all these things we are finding. And then we know in the back of our mind that we are going to edit it, we are going to do this, we are going to use effects and all these things. But don't get too overwhelmed by all these things, but imagination. Each step we are having imagination. It can be very grandiose, it can be very little, but we have imagination. Because cinema, by its nature, when you are evoking that emotion, you are evoking imagination in audience. With the scenes, with the visuals, with the sound design, with the set, with the architecture, with the production design, with everything, dialogue scenes, the way the performance is happening, interaction between the actors, how the scene is evolving, how the plot is evolving. You are evoking imagination of the audience, you are evoking the emotions, So imagination is a big part. In different ways, it is involved in the entire process while writing, while making, even after making the film, while editing. Because then also, tweaking little things, you can spark different thing in the imagination, Evoke different thing altogether. Sequence of shots can be placed in a different way, can be shortened, can be expanded, and it will have a different meaning for that entire movie. So all these things. But meaning is also one thing. Meaning, it can be meaning of life, because meaning of life being a big part of filmmaking, for philosophy, for our lives, for everyone involved in that film. Meaning of life, and the word can have meaning. The work has meaning in terms of professionalism, in terms of art, in terms of the production, in terms of telling a story, conveying an idea, giving a performance, in whatever way you can think of. The word can have meaning, and it has meaning, and also the meaning of life. New things, radical ideas, crazy ideas we can go for. And also one word again I will want to mention, that is congruence. Once in a while we can think of congruence. Is it lacking congruence? Is it lacking this or that is affecting that congruence in terms of filmmaking? We can think of that. And also, we can be overwhelmed by a lot of things, a lot of decisions, a lot of problems, a lot of hurdles, but we don't give in. What we do is we have a larger responsibility, and we know that we have a larger responsibility in terms of that film, and also guiding people. So we can be overwhelmed by the technical options, but we do know what we require for our movies. We know our priorities, if I say so. Now, should we follow what is trending or show them what cinema can be? Some people are following what is trending. That person is doing that, that person is doing that, that person is doing that, and they are just following that. Maybe we will take a different cast, maybe we will take a different way of shooting this or telling the story, and we are doing this, we are doing that, I'm training this thing, let's do this, let's do this, let's do this. Should we follow what is trending or show them what cinema can be? Even in that particular story, we can show them what cinema can be. But what is cinema? It is the amalgamation of all these things, the cast and crew and all these decisions and problems and hurdles and the solutions and all these things, imagination. So, we have to take care of a lot of things. So, we can show them what cinema can be, what visuals can be, what poetry can be. And sometimes some cinematographers, I have mentioned it before as well, some cinematographers are very good with poetic scenes, visual poetry. Maybe the film is requiring that, maybe the director is calling for that. You choose the cinematographer according, you do the entire process according, and you have the visual poetry. Sometimes more than what you expected, because you took the right decisions along the way. And you knew that you could take the right decisions, or if something happened, you could take the right step to do the right thing. Some people are very good with form, structure, texture, and how they are meticulously, planning each and everything. Again, the film is requiring that, story is requiring that, the director is requiring that. So different working environment, collaboration team, and whatever you are preparing from that movie, you know that. If somebody is telling you that person is going to be a part of that movie, as a director, you should have that creative leadership or that say that cinematographer might not be good for that particular movie. So you can have a good argument, a constructive argument in terms of aesthetics, in terms of everything regarding that movie, that we might take that person so that we can have a better movie. Because if we are going to spend all these efforts and money, why should not we make the movie we want to make? It is not ultimately a waste, because we have put a lot of things. And this is the thing we love to do. And when we love to do all these things, we will find a way. That is not the thing. But people, decisions, if the people are right, they are taken right, then the decisions will happen. They will find solutions, you will find solutions, you will find discussions, you will find arguments, you will give them the right direction, they will be capable of taking that direction. They will be coming up with something new, and you will be amazed by it. You will be mesmerized by it. And also, different kinds of leadership we have mentioned, whatever is required for that particular movie. But Some people think that filmmaking is a lonely job. They don't understand what they are saying. The director's job is a very lonely job. There are moments of loneliness, and a big part of it, because you have to, sometimes the director is storyboarding, the director is talking to all the departments, and there are moments of introspection, there are moments of uh, silent time with yourself, and you are thinking about that cinematic world, you are thinking about that script, you are thinking about that entire movie all the time. So it's a tough thing, it's not a very easy thing. You are thinking about all these things all the time, and then you are guiding the people who are coming up with their things, and then also you are supervising that as well. If the editor is very confident, then what you can do is you can give the film to the editor, and you don't have to go to the editing table, and they will do their job. Sometimes you have to sit with the editor as well after making the entire movie, and you have to tell them, this is the shot, this is the thing I shot, this is the way you should put it, let's put it in this way, so many things. And the sound part, the sound design, and how you are scoring, how you are doing sound design, foley, and all these things, sound effects, visual effects, whatever is required from that particular scene. Uh, you can do a lot of things, but priorities. We can be overwhelmed by a lot of things, gadgets, people, excess spaces, technical equipments, so many things. But in terms of aesthetics, in terms of the story we want to tell, what we need, what is the priority for that particular movie. And also, I am going to direct that movie. I am going to have that scene. That cinematographer is coming up with the cinematographer's vision. What is he or she going to say with the camera, with the cinematic language, through the cinematic language? How? That is the thing. Being a punk is not a bad thing, and it makes great filmmaking. But you have an idea how you're going to show it. It's a mix of things. But do you find distortion? That is a question we can ask. Now, one thing I want to mention, in the recent films, you will see lack of excitement in terms of visual imagery. Sometimes, that boring static shots are there. We are not talking about, boring static shots, or we are just capturing people. They are standing, we are capturing people. That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about cinematic language. It's a grammar, it's vocabulary, how you are choosing a lens, where you are putting the camera, how you are moving the camera, the frame, the composition, how you are evoking something in the audience. All these things may sound cliche to some people, especially for people who are cramming it, for people who are going to go for an interview. They have read it somewhere. They have done all these things so that they sound good. We're not talking about all these things. When you think about all these things, when you constantly get immersed in that cinematic world or in this profession for a long time, obviously the people who we are talking to, or people who we are doing this with, they know their stuff. But for younger people who may have to discover a lot, have to explore a lot, they have to go through their own problem solving processes. They have to find their own problems and hurdles, and they can find something new. Maybe they can contribute to the visual literature. Maybe they can contribute to the cinematic literature. So we should have open spaces for them as well. But give them a chance to face those problems. Huh? Give them a chance to come up with those radical ideas, crazy ideas, so that they can try to solve the problem with the camera. They try to solve the problem with the storyboard. They try to solve the problem with the composition, with the frame, with the movement. Then they will think about all these things. They will try all these things. They will make mistakes, but eventually they will learn. They will get wisdom from those mistakes. They will look at a film not just for mere entertainment, it's a learning experience. And also how that particular person in that audience, how he or she is getting moved by that particular film. How the entire thing is happening. Not everybody can be a filmmaker, but some people have to be filmmakers. So for that, we need those discussions, that wisdom, that respect for filmmaking, if I say so. Sometimes it is inherent, we don't talk about it. But sometimes we need to teach them that you should have respect for filmmaking. You should have respect for that entire process. Right. Then all these things will happen very naturally. You should have that. Now, Not boring static shot or we are just capturing people, but how that cinematic language, storytelling, and that is really important because nowadays we have seen a lot, we have heard that can take us to the wrong direction, or maybe that can make us ignore these things. But these little things, and that little decision can come up with a new shot you cannot even think of. Suddenly you are thinking of, okay, I can frame this in a different way, and that will have a different effect. I can have the depth of field of that shot using the lens, camera techniques. So when two people are interacting, I am showing depth. Some people will learn that, some people will go through the discussions later, some people will find it while watching it, but while creating, you have a larger responsibility as well. So you're putting a lot of things. That's why whether you go to a film school or not, there is always an educational element, and if you have that critical element, the educational element, and also you are thinking about it, you are putting a lot of effort, you have that passion, that respect, then always you are thinking about that cinematic world, fandom, inspiration, stories, and this particular movie I am creating, the shots, scenes written. So all these things happen right now. But that cinematic language, how we are going to show how we can have a lot of choices, lot of decisions can be taken, but what can be the right decision? Can you explore? Are you willing to explore? Maybe you can take 2 or 3 right decisions and you find, okay, that is the one I want to have. That is the one I want to go for. But you have to make that, effort so that you find it. Eventually people will see that frame. Ultimately people will see that frame in the screen while they are watching it. But before doing that, while you are making the film, while you are discussing with the cast and crew, you are having all these ideas. How I am going to shoot this? How I am going to, put the camera? Where I am going to put the camera? How I am going to move? Do I need to move or should I keep it like, a static camera? Composition, how we are going to compose, how we are going to shoot an angle, what angle we are going to do, because that will have an emotional element, right? So all these things. We will do everything we can, but people will see the screen in movies. When they go to the theaters, whatever we are showing them on the screen, they have less decisions. We have more decisions as filmmakers, as cinematographers. And we are enjoying each and every part of it because we want to tell the story in that manner. Right? So that's why we have to tell a story or convey an idea. Maybe the idea can be a great idea, but the way you are conveying it using that cinematic language, that can make a significant difference. Then people will talk about the idea. Then people will talk about the experience. Maybe they will go through it multiple times. And they will talk about it. Okay, I saw that. Visually, I was mesmerized. I saw something. I was, as a film fan or as a, a film buff, or maybe as a member of the audience, I got inspired. I got, very much affected emotionally, or maybe I don't know what it is, but I felt good about that little thing. But then later, as you are growing, as you are learning, as you are finding your own way of exploring cinema, directors, perspectives, how all these things come together, and how you can make your own movie. The more you are doing that, discussions will happen, arguments will happen, and you will find different ways of making films. And romance with some people, out of the question. So choose yourself. And that romance, it is not just a romance between two people. It can be romance with the camera. It can be romance with the scene, when people are there in the scene. So that romance is out of question with some people. So that is what. Sometimes, is it just a male ego boost? Because that is a lot of happening nowadays. And it happened, but that male ego boost is deviating you. Is it affecting the movie? Think about it. And hobby, profession, where is the line? Do I have that line? I just want to make a movie and I know I want to make a movie. People have trusted, I have trusted, I know I am going to make a great movie. Hobby, profession, all these things, we are going to make a great movie that will have a lot of money, that will have a lot of profits, but we know that what it takes to make a great movie. And the way I am going to show my movie, shoot my movie, say the thing I want to say cinematically, convey the idea I want to convey cinematically, artistically, I can do that. You know, it is not a side job. At least for us, people like us, it is not a side job. And no matter whatever people talk about, whatever shit they come up with, it is never a side job. It is a very serious thing to do. And we don't want to be students anymore. It sounds bad, okay. But when it comes to films, we can always be a film student. And cinema is something really big, very big. So that is something very fascinating about it, cinema, and that is, the reason sometimes we enjoy filmmaking so much. Whenever we watch a film, we can be a film student all our lives. A different film, the way the film was shot, maybe we are watching the film after a long time. Maybe we have seen the other films of that particular director, but oh, I have never heard of this film from this particular director. I never knew that the film existed. Suddenly I am watching the film and I'm discovering something new. I'm finding something new. It's open for that, Not complacence, but that enthusiasm, that passion, or whatever you call it. But a film student, and that's not a bad term. That is something really great in terms of filmmaking. Right. Okay. Now you will find information, resources, advice, complacence, but are you willing to go the extra mile? Whatever be the thing, whatever I have discussed so far, it can be anything that can stop us from doing the right thing, from going the extra mile. But are we putting that effort to go that extra mile? Whatever be the thing, are we putting the effort to make the best possible film we want to make? Are we coming up with the discussions we should do? Are we asking the right questions? Are we giving innovative or creative directions to people? It is not just a gimmick. That person is taking a lot of takes. That person is using this camera. That person is using this lens. Ultimately, all these things will come to that cinematic storytelling. How it was shot, I was affected by the movie. That scene was great. Okay, it was shot like that. It has more meaning. Right? We understand in a better way. We want to do things in a better way. So all these things, we need to think about all these things a bit more, especially the younger generation. We need to teach them all these things. If they want to take filmmaking as a passion, profession, hobby, appreciation, criticism, whatever it is. And also a great thing is, we cry watching our films too. While in the editing table, we cry watching our films. As an audience, part of our audience, we can cry watching our films. Okay, we have made it. After finishing the film, or maybe after a long time. So it is like that, we have given something to the world. It means a lot. And we should keep the discussion going. Sometimes for like the younger generation, for people who are still seeking, who are still finding a lot of answers, looking for a lot of answers, in fact, finding a lot of questions, what they will watch, what they want to do, this and that, a lot of things they can go for. Sometimes a pat on the back from the experienced professionals, from the seniors, can mean a lot. And sometimes it happens behind the scenes because you are making the film in the cinematic fraternity, or the filmmaking fraternity. We are doing the pat on the back, and obviously people don't need to know about it, but we know what we are doing as a professional, or as a mentor, or as a guide, whatever you can call it. We are doing all these things. We never need to talk about it. Sometimes that gimmick can come as a feedback, or that gimmick can be part of that filmmaking process, and it has happened for some time, I think. So that gimmick cannot affect its priorities, how we are telling the story, cinematic storytelling, how we are conveying the idea. All these things will, keep us in a better place. And appreciating good work, it means a lot. Appreciating good work and criticizing good work, because to criticize good works in a good way, you need to learn a lot. You need to know about the camera, you need to know about the visual storytelling, you need to know about the cinematic storytelling, you need to know about drama, you need to know about narratives, you need to know about psychology, you need to know about a lot of things, philosophy, a lot of things you need to know about when you are doing criticism. Good criticism I'm talking about, because whenever we are setting the standards here, we are talking about good stuff, not bullshit, not boring, not excess, not redundant, not unnecessary things, but things you can come to once in a while and you can feel rejuvenated. Because yeah, these are the things we should talk about nowadays. Even more than talking about while we are doing something, or maybe we are talking to some people, things, one or two things maybe they have forgotten for a while. We can tell them one or two lines and they can think about thousands other things, and they can make a great movie. So all these things, imagination, open for discussion, a good space where we can discuss all these things, and we can do all these things. And filmmakers, some people are cinematically very strong, visually very strong as filmmakers, some people are not. So the thing is, some people, when the filmmaker is visually very strong, he or she can guide the cinematographer very well with each and every step in a minute manner, in a meticulous manner. Sometimes that person can be camera operator, the person can be stay near the camera a lot, because he needs to see through the viewfinder, through the screen, through the monitors, or whatever be the thing. He is very much concerned about each and everything that we are shooting and that is in the frame. But sometimes the cinematographer is independent. The cinematographer knows a lot, and maybe the director is not that visually. He or she can have the aesthetic, but technically may not be that sound. So he is conveying the vision, what he wants to show, what he or she wants to show through the screen, that frame, or how he or she wants to convey the idea or tell the story cinematically. And they will come up with discussions, they will come up with problem solving ideas, creativity, innovation, and how they will make their film in a better way. So different ways of working with people, different situations. We are not telling which one is good or bad, but we are open for experiences. But we know our styles, we know how we are making a film, and we have that confidence that we will come up with a great film. And then sometimes the right people, if you choose the right cast and crew, it can do a lot of work, and then the things will happen. But if the cast and crew is selected in a wrong manner, you will have more problems and hurdles, and sometimes the editing cannot fix it, obviously. So that's why better decisions, innovative decisions, creative decisions, but we are thinking about the script. It is not that that person is making this kind of movie for a long time, oh, he will come up with this thing. Still we are becoming a curious student, or a film student, or maybe a curious person, if I'd say so. Let me think about these things. Ideas, innovations, experiences, wisdom, philosophies, different ways of thinking about this. Not many different ways we are thinking about it just because of some people are showing their smartness, or we have to pretend to be smart. We are not doing all these things. But this is for the sake of making a good film, or a great film. So it is part of the process. Right. So thank you for being with me. In the next session, we will do it for the editors. But before we go to the editing table, a lot of decisions we need to take care of. That's why, and cinema being a visual medium, it is not a radio play. So visually people are going to watch it. If you're just going to throw the camera and throw the people, it is not cinema, or that kind of cinema, or that educational element it is not having visually. So if you want to have that, and you should have that, because it will evoke more discussions, imagination, and filmmaking, cinema, what we call. We need to think about all these things. We need to discuss all these things more than often. Priorities. We need to think about. Thank you.